Now, unemployment and poverty are two of the major issues currently affecting Nigeria's economy and its society. Well, according to data released by the National Bureau of Statistics, the population of the unemployed or unemployment in Nigeria at the moment stand at 33.3%. Yes, and recording an increase of 6.2% compared to 27.1% in the previous 2 quarters of 2020. This figure evidently places Nigeria in the number 3 position amongst countries with the highest number of unemployed people in the world. Also, according to the data from the World Poverty Clock, the number of people living in extreme poverty in Nigeria rose from 86.9 million in 2018 to 93.7 million in 2019, thus making the country stand as the nation with the highest number of people living with extreme poverty across the world. However, the worsening case of insecurity in Nigeria has had a significant effect on the economic output or economy's output, as this has disrupted farming activities, weakening investors' confidence. In an effort to address these economic and social challenges, federal government has announced plans to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years through the National Poverty Reduction with growth strategy. But the slower economic growth, rising debt and fewer jobs, coupled with high inflation and no plans to combat insecurity, experts believe that this might be a mirage unless insecurity and other social challenges are attended to. Well, I have live in our Lagos studio to discuss this and more pertinent issues surrounding Nigeria's economy. Well, she's the Deputy Vice President of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, ACFE, Lagos Chapter, Dr. Titilayo Eniton-Fowokon. Good afternoon. It's good to have you in the studio.
Good afternoon, Tolu. How are you?
Very well. I'm thinking poverty, thinking unemployment, insecurity. There's something that ties it together. If someone is unemployed, the person will be poor one way or the other. And once that person is poor, it tends to take to all the social vices, self-defense one way or the other. So there's this connection, there's this correlation between these 3 issues, unemployment, poverty, and insecurity. First, let's do an overview of what we have in our country. 33.3% is that's talking about unemployment rates at the moment. It is worrisome. How did we get here?
I think we've discussed this before now at different fora. And I would want to say that recently I had to speak to a set of youths on this same issue, and they were asking same questions. Now, for the level we are now was just because we failed to engage our youths. They are the strength of the nation. We were churning out graduates, but there's nothing for them out there. And every day we see the list of people that wants to do JAMB exam. Then let me not forget to say that let's go back to our birth rates in this country. I remember there's a time we said one child, 4 children per family. I'm not sure we're still doing that. So if you look at the rate at which children come to the world, to Nigeria precisely, they go through our system. So the issue of unemployment is not just looking at the unemployment. Look, let's go back to the base. Right from school, get to secondary, get to university, and they come out, the jobs are not there. And that's one issue. Now, secondly, the orientation. Everybody wants to work in our office.
True.
How many of us want to take the risk of an entrepreneur? Do we even encourage taking that risk of an entrepreneur? Do I even encourage my children to say, oh, hang on, what do you have in your brain that you can use to solve a problem? Or what's the problem you want to solve? The moment we start to identify the problem to be solved, we'll deal with this unemployment gradually. Because that person is engaged with thinking through what to do to solve a problem. Now, he could have gotten those good ideas, but the support is not there. So we have to look at all that. So there are a lot of things that are affecting this issue of unemployment. The fact that we are so used to these white-collar jobs is there. The fact that there's nobody really pushing and encouraging our youth to look above getting a job, but what can they do on their own to solve a problem? There are a lot of problems to solve. In fact, let me say COVID-19 made some people to be very innovative. Yeah. A lot of things came. Recently, there was something on social media about the small boy that got this ATM machine, locally made ATM machine. And I'm like, gosh, what's the age of this boy? He has sat down and used his brain to do this. How many of these talents are we losing? In fact, they're a lot. And for me, I felt the unemployment rate is increasing because we are not changing the orientation of our youths. They seem to be waiting. I don't get a job today, but I say, what can you do on your own, pending when you get a job? You can find a solution to a problem. Have you identified a problem you want to solve? When you identify a problem you want to solve, can you now sit down and think through, how do I put something together? I always ask a question from our youth. I say, what do you like doing most? What's your passion? Because your passion will lead you to find a solution to something. And until when we are shifting focus from looking at that white-collar job to going into something that I can do and use my brain and bring solution and solve a problem, and that appreciation of that solution comes from the public. Because if I solve a problem and I'm not encouraged, finance is an issue. Creating an enabling environment is an issue. So we are talking about our youth being engaged. You cannot just, when we see youth idle, say, oh, they're used to their phone, we need to create an environment for them to engage themselves in constructive activities that are finding solution to a problem. And that is moving away from seeking for employee to be an entrepreneur. So
it's a very good way to start this discussion, changing the mindset of our youth, changing all mindsets. But I think that also starts from our schools, because we need to start to, people need to take, when we talk about vocational studies, looking at entrepreneurial studies and all of that, we cannot all be in the banks. We cannot all be in the oil companies.
Yeah.
I think we need to start driving that narrative from our schools. How does that come to you?
Yeah, in fact, you're just taking it from my mouth. I was about to say our school curriculum needs a great overhauling. When I went to school,
True.
That was in the 70s. And the way they give, the orientation they give us in terms of vocation, there's vocational trainings apart from your normal school activity. It makes people to see I remember when I was very young, we are more of girls. We have some of us that do weaving, we have some that do knitting. And these are things that if you go into it full time, you probably go get yourself into fashion design, into what do we call it now, hairdressing or whatever they call it. You get yourself going into your craft work, and crafts. Do we still have that? And these are areas where we can make solutions. So our curriculum has lost touch with that vocational training angle, with that entrepreneurial training that should come from the school, that will transform the person to see that entrepreneurial instinct in him or her that he wants to bring on board. So our curriculum I don't know, we missed it somewhere. And I think the moment they start removing some things, putting some things, we probably lost the important things to put in the curriculum. So it needs a complete overhaul. Now, I will take you a bit into BSc versus HND.
Okay.
It's a major issue.
It's a major issue, yes.
Because if you have an HND, because you have HND will not take, then you go back and do BSc. That's an issue. Because the person with an HND practically, technically may be sound, better than the BSc person, which may be more theoretical. So there are a lot of things that right from secondary to university curriculum, to creating that skill, that mindset of entrepreneurship. The vocational training is not there. And then we need to also pick our talents, good talents that will be good in technical development. So we need to. I have one of my mentees that went to technical school before going to the university. He's doing well, better than those who came directly. So let's look back at our technical colleges, our technical education, and see how can we build an entrepreneur of these people, make them to be good in what they're doing. Everybody wants to do marketing. Fine, it's good. But I'm saying, what are those aspects of our curriculum that will bring out that vocational aspect of instinct in the people, that will make them to think of, how do I become an employer rather than being an employee? Because once you're an entrepreneur, you'll be an employer.
I also see a space, I think, that needs to be filled with regards to skills too. That's talking about the ICT space where everyone is turning to at the moment. You know, you have spaces like the crypto markets, and look at what's happening with Twitter and everybody taking advantage of that sector. Do you think we have enough skill sets to take advantage of ICT, or do we also need to improve what we have?
I think we have to leverage on what we have now to improve on it. Fortunately for us, we have vibrant youths who are ready. They learn fast. At times, I'm just trying to make myself to be a techie savvy now, because when I have a problem with my phone and I give it to my son, it helps me out. And I'm like, every time I can say, Mommy, I say, oh, don't worry, I'll develop myself. Yeah. You know, so we have that opportunity. And the moment we don't take charge of that opportunity, we'll lose it. So we have the strength, the youths are our strength on that. We have the technology space. COVID has even helped us to open our eyes to so many things. We talk of cryptocurrency, we talk artificial intelligence, and all the different types of IT, technology, telecoms, you know, media, and everything like that. We may see more of the technology aspect now rolling out. You know, we are talking about automation, we're talking about value chain, building up, and this is opportunity for us to build skills around this. So a lot of skills are to be built around this. We have the resources. The human resources is there. It's just for us to tap on it, keep them training, support them, and then we'll see how it goes. Well, government is saying we want to collect tax from digital services. Fine. We're looking at revenue, but let's also look at capacity building in this area so we can take advantage, maximum advantage of what we have.
No, I'm seeing that. We hear from the federal government that President Buhari plans to, or the government, federal government in its entirety, plans to lift about 100 million people out of poverty in the next 10 years. You see, when I read that and you see the strategy paper and all of that, it looks very good in writing. But I don't know how that comes to you, if you've seen that and what you think about that as we grapple with this high level of unemployment in the country.
What I've observed is that we seem to have laudable concepts, plans, 10-year, 5-year rolling plans, but implementation is always a problem. Now, when we are talking about lifting up 100 people out of poverty in 10 years, the population we have now is already creating insecurity for us. So we need to look at that. So between now and that 10 years, how are we going to be addressing it? You understand what I'm saying? So it's good, it's on paper, but the implementation is also an issue. Before 5 years, what do we see this unemployment and poverty causing to our economy? I must see, it is clear that insecurity is an offshoot of unemployment and poverty. That's my own view about it. If there's a gap, the rich get richer, the poor gets poorer, and the health system is not there, so you are poor, you don't have money to take care of yourself. At the end of the day, parents die, the children are frustrated, they go to the road, somebody molests them, their life is miserable, nobody's taking care of them, they become a miscreant. So we go into another problem. So I think the plan, no matter how good it's been crafted, the implementation must build trust that people will know that whatever government says, they're going to do it as they have said. And then there will be assessments. After 1 year, let's have a milestone, maybe 1 year time, 2 years, 5 years. At the end of 1 year, how far have we gone with this plan? What have we achieved and what we plan to achieve? How many people have we taken out of poverty? There must be data. And as always said, the data statistics is critical to us to be able to prove to people that we are doing what we promised to do. So, and until when, thank God for technology, it's easier for us to get all these things shown to people when we make leverage on technology to ensure we get this data. Let's assume we have how many political zones, 7 or something local governments. If we do it by local government, do we have a data of what we have achieved in poverty alleviation in each of the local governments? How many people were in, let's say, were in the lower Keda and they have now moved maybe 2 points, 3 points, 4 points in the past 1 year? Then go to the next phase. By the time we start assessing and publishing this to the public, then they'll see the sincerity of government, saying whatever we say we do. It will not be, oh, government, we don't trust them. Whatever they say, they won't do. But no, we should move away from that lack of trust to seeing the transparency. Data speaks. Data speaks. We can see the data. We can see what they've done. So it's good on paper, fine, but it must not just end on paper. There must be proper implementation to show the value being added.
Now, when we look at this, staying with this ways of taking Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years, agriculture is one of the major focus. And we know what's happening with farmers and herders even up till now, and it's affecting food prices and all of that. Power sector is also very important because many people believe that if we have constant, more steady electricity, we could also create jobs along that angle. Infrastructure is also important, talking about industrial clusters and all of these things. Now, how do you see government taking this one after the other? Because it tends to be very challenging to me.
In fact, our problem are multifaceted.
Honestly, it's an institutional problem.
So, like I used to say, I say you must take Nigeria as a project. Because when you have a project, you have what we call budget planning. You plan your project, you do your forward feeding, you do all the different budgeting and analysis, and then you have milestones. So, it's a matter of government looking at all these issues and which one is top priority. You might need to do some ranking. Which one solves it? Fine. The land is there, good land, but the land cannot just be there without something bringing out the produce. Somebody must plant, somebody must harvest. Now, let's even say we want to do mechanized farming. Is it not somebody that will pull the tractor? There's still need for women. So, if these people are not alive, so we have to talk about the farmers being alive, to be able to do it and being able to do it in a conducive environment that they are not threatened. That's an issue. So it's a matter of government being sincere. How do they tackle the insecurity? Because you see, when we are able to deal with insecurity, it will bring down the tempo and pressures so that people can have peace of mind to think straight, to do what they want to do. If you are a farmer, you can't go to your farm, you are afraid, you are scared. So how would the food come? And we're talking of food security, we're talking of making life easy. And after you even plant, and you harvest and there's problem, it gets spoiled. So it doesn't get to the market. So there's another so government needs to now look at, okay, I have insecurity, I have unemployment issue, I have this. Which ones in the hierarchy of needs is the topmost? Let there be a prioritization of this. They prioritize it. Which ones do we want to solve in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years? Which ones are the low-hanging fruits that we can quickly deal with? And I think if there's sincere plan that we can measure and we can say, okay, we want to deal with the issue of insecurity. Well, government needs to have a plan. Be open and sincere. If we are unable to do something, it's better we let people know, okay, we are stuck to this extent, but these are the efforts we are making and those efforts are seen. When people don't have trust in what they hear, it causes more trouble. Anything you say, even when you are saying the truth, unless you start saying, I swear by God, they won't believe. They won't. But when they see that you say something and you come and say, okay, what I've said, this is how far I've gone. I still have this long way to go, but I have this bottleneck. But I believe that if I do this, we are looking, and there's consultation. And there are experts insecurity experts and things like that. At times they talk, we hear them on radio, and it looks as if, okay, where are these brains? Are they not supporting government? Are they not advising government? So these are areas that government, when you talk about unemployment, is there a way? I've just mentioned something now. Let's have like an entrepreneur mentorship scheme. Talk to some of these entrepreneurs. We have people that have good brains. By the time you take these people on board, you coach them, you let them start to appreciate the real life of out there, and microfinance is not as effective as we expect it to be. The rural people, they need funding, they need finance. So it's a matter of listing all these things, which ones in order of priority. We take them like that, and as we say, don't just tick the box. Just say this one, we have done this, this is the impact, this is the data to show you. We can say we are done on this. The next priority on our list for the next 3 years is this. Let's say we want to tackle unemployment next. Okay, for the first year, we have reduced our unemployment rate by 2 points or 3 points. The next year, we're looking at reduce by 5 points, but we're able to achieve 3 points, and then we take it like that. So there must be clear-cut process and targets to achieve in solving this problem. Listing them in order of the priority, how they affect the economy, because all these things are affecting our economy. It's bringing us down.
Very interesting topic. I'm also thinking about not having a population census, at least to actually get the number, because we keep saying in Nigeria we have 200 million people. Some other you hear we have 220 million, we have 210 million. I think that would also aid planning. Don't you think that's necessary?
And one of the questions I ask is, we've done population census at different times. Where is the data? Visible to everybody. And now with technology, we can do it better. I'm so happy when I got the news, okay, go for registration for election, INEC registration is now online, online real time. So I want to believe that at the end of the day, we'll have a data that people will have access to. So we can actually leverage on technology to get all this data. Because it's too much of talking.
Yeah.
There must be action.
Yeah.
And not just action, there must be action that we can demonstrate. Thank God for researchers that we have in this country. All the foreign countries will tell you, we did a research on this is what. They even do a research on Nigeria. We in Nigeria don't even have those information.
Yes, yes.
And so the question is, what are we not getting right? Do we need to go back and, what is our economic summit group, they've been giving us suggestions. Have we been taking what they are giving us? And have we been assessing the impact of those advices they've given and the ones we've implemented? You know, those are the areas I think we need to still look at. Not just as an economist, you say, when you do A plus B, marginal increase in demand will affect your increase in supply. And then we say all the grammar. No, you finish saying this grammar, then translate into Naira and Kobo figures so that people can see what we're saying. So we cannot just be saying it. We must demonstrate it, and we must make it clear to people. Our people want to see its impact in their lives. So whatever they hear, and you tell them, and it doesn't show a positive impact in their life, it's not going to carry weight. I must say that. So we need to actually be more sincere, we need to be clear, and we need to carry everybody along, and we need to be open in whatever way, so that people can have that trust and confidence in whatever we're saying we're doing for them as government.
In 1 minute, if we can do this, if all of this is done, can we place a time to it? What time are we looking at? Long term, medium term, short term? How better can it get?
Let me say that there are different times for each of them.
Yeah.
But the insecurity issue has to be an immediate time, if you permit me to use that. It has to be a short-term thing, because it's affecting life, it's affecting properties, it's affecting peace, or you can't sleep well. So that one should be an immediate thing. Now, the issue of unemployment, we have to start from maybe in the midterm, see how we can move. But like I said, let's come up with some interventions that can fix that can make us to achieve the low-hanging fruits. And when you talk of issue of poverty, our health system is not getting better. Then people that are in the rural areas are not getting the feel. So I think in the short term, in the next short to mid-term, the issue of insecurity and alleviation of poverty to some extent should be addressed. While unemployment is a gradual process, but we need to just also do something in the next short to medium term. But we can have a long-term plan. I'll
be speaking to the Deputy Vice President, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, ACFE, Lagos Chapter, Dr. Titi Layo Eniton Fowoko. Today we're not talking tax. No, she's also a tax practitioner. Let me add that to it. But today we are looking strictly at poverty, unemployment, and of course, insecurity that bedevils Nigeria, not only Nigeria, even the continent. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you coming to the studio. It's not easy, Lagos traffic. We really appreciate this.
Thank you very much.
All right, then.